Andy Ogles, Republican representative from Tennessee, had his home raided by the FBI after facing scrutiny over campaign financing and concerns of ethics violations. Ogles is perhaps best known for being an avid Trump supporter. He's currently serving his first term in Congress, but he seems determined to make a name for himself. Shortly after Vice President Kamala Harris announced her bid for the presidency, Ogles introduced articles of impeachment against her.
So there's so much to unpack, right? The last 2 weeks have been historic for a number of reasons, none of it good.
No.
But as to whether or not the articles of impeachment go anywhere, there's two paths that can be taken. One, this was essentially offered in the normal vein, which means it would have to be brought to the floor by leadership. But what I did is these were drafted in a privileged form. And so we passed these by the parliamentarian. And so what does that mean? What it means is that I could go basically to the House floor. I could call up the privilege and it would force a vote on it. But it's important. And I'll be honest with you, whether they pass or don't pass isn't as important as having this tough conversation.
This story really has nothing to do with any of that, but why are Republicans acting like they suddenly care about impeachments? They just nominated for the second time since it happened a guy who got impeached twice in one presidential term. Ogles is, like I said, just trying to make a name for himself and sucking up to Trump with that. Anyway, News Channel 5 Investigates, a local Nashville news program, reported last year that Ogles had given his own campaign a $320,000 personal loan according to the campaign's financial disclosure forms. Ogles maintains that it was all just a reporting error. It was supposed to just be a $20,000 loan. Well, the FBI has now raided his home and taken his cell phone, all in connection with the alleged $320,000. In a statement on X on Tuesday, Ogles says, "It has been widely reported for months that my campaign made mistakes in our initial financial filings. We have worked diligently with attorneys and reporting experts to correct the errors and ensure compliance going forward. Last Friday, the FBI took possession of my cell phone. It is my understanding that they are investigating the same well-known facts surrounding these filings. I will, of course, fully cooperate with them, just as I have with the Federal Election Commission. I am confident all involved will conclude that the reporting discrepancies were based on honest mistakes and nothing more." So according to Ogles, he has been cooperating with attorneys and experts since the alleged discrepancy was made public, but typically the FBI doesn't raid the homes of public officials who are cooperating with investigations. In May of this year, Ogles filed 11 amendments to his campaign finance reports with the Federal Election Commission going all the way back to April of 2022. He released a statement saying, "I pledged $320,000 to use toward my own campaign efforts if needed. That $320,000 pledge comprised several documented assets, including bank and retirement accounts. While we only needed to transfer $20,000, unfortunately, the full amount of my pledge was mistakenly included on my campaign's FEC reports." But Phil Williams, a reporter from News Channel 5, says that 2 years ago, Ogles reported having $283,338 cash on hand, only to later claim to have just $2,462 on hand. So the debts and obligations discrepancy can't reasonably be attributed to a potential typo, accidentally adding the 3 in front of the $20,000, if the amended report also shows a $281,000 cash on hand discrepancy. But this isn't the first time Ogles has had some shady money dealings. Phil Williams is back at it again, reporting that Ogles raised $25,000 for a child burial garden that never came to be. According to Williams, after suffering the loss of a newborn baby in 2014, Ogles used a photo of his own stillborn child to raise money for a children's burial garden via a GoFundMe campaign. The garden was supposed to be called Lincoln's Place, Lincoln being the name of the deceased baby, and the GoFundMe page asked people to donate to his burial garden because no family should have to bury their child, no child should be alone. The garden was meant to have a life-size statue of Jesus to watch over the children and benches. I think benches come standard in most gardens and parks, but it was nice that he included them. So he raised nearly $25,000 for a garden, but then when it never happened, Ogles blamed his lack of progress on government bureaucracy, saying, "What we found over the past year as we have been going through this process is that burials are heavily regulated." However, others have come forward saying they were willing to help Ogles Ogles with the project, but they never heard much from him. Ogles said that none of the money has been spent, but it never went back to the donors either. So where did it go? No one knows. When Williams asked Ogles about the missing money, Ogles simply did not respond to the questions. Instead, Ogles released a statement painting himself as a victim of vile journalism, implying that the journalist was exploiting the death of his child. He offered no answers or evidence as to where the money went. And then there's the question of his resume. According to reporting from Williams again, Ogles claims to have done graduate work at Vanderbilt and Dartmouth universities, but that's questionable. He also claimed to be an economist, a former law enforcement officer, and an expert on international sex crimes. According to his website, at one point, Ogles stated that he studied policy and economics at Middle Tennessee State University. However, reporting found that he didn't have a degree in economics or policy. He instead studied international relations with minors in psychology and English. Ogles has since updated his website and removed that bit about policy and economics. The bit about Vanderbilt and Dartmouth turned up not on Ogles' website, but on his Ballotpedia page and a few other places where it said he went to Vanderbilt's Owen Graduate School of Management and Dartmouth's Tuck School of Business. Well, he wasn't technically enrolled in either of those schools. He received certificates for attending non-degree classes at both schools, which is fine if that's how it's disclosed, but he was asked about it at a GOP forum. The moderator asked if he was a graduate of Owen School of Business, and he said, executive education. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Executive education, which refers to those certificate programs, is not the same as having been accepted into a school and then graduating from that school with a degree. Regarding the FBI raid, Ogles supporters think that it's suspicious that his home got raided after he introduced articles of impeachment against Kamala Harris. They do not, however, think it's suspicious that his home got raided after dealing with the feds on this campaign finance discrepancy for months. They also think that Obama is behind all of this because I don't know. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe for more.